Marcus Adeleke stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse suite overlooking Lagos Island, staring at the divorce papers in his trembling hands. After 7 years of marriage, his wife Chioma had left him not because he lacked money, power, or influence, but because his body had failed to give her the one thing she wanted most: a child. 3 weeks later, a woman he barely remembered from a charity gala called to say she was carrying his baby. Marcus was not just wealthy. He was a legend. At 42, he owned the largest telecommunications network in West Africa, controlled shipping routes from Accra to Dakar, and had investments that stretched across 3 continents. Forbes called him the Lion of Lagos. His competitors called him untouchable. But behind the tailored suits and the convoy of luxury cars, Marcus carried a wound that money could not heal. For years, he and Chioma had tried everything: private doctors in London, specialists in Johannesburg, traditional healers his mother secretly recommended. Nothing worked. The medical reports always came back the same: low sperm count, poor motility, almost impossible odds. Chioma had smiled through it all at first, holding his hand during appointments, whispering that they would be fine. But as the years passed, her smile faded. Her warmth turned cold. She stopped looking at him the way she used to. Then one morning, she was gone. No fight. No warning. Just a note on the dining table and a lawyer's number. The divorce was swift and quiet, sealed with a settlement that cost Marcus $30 million. He did not contest it. He was too ashamed. Too broken. His closest friend, Emeka, had warned him years ago. They were sitting in Marcus's study one rainy evening when Emeka said, "Brother, watch that woman. She loves what you have, not who you are." Marcus had laughed it off. Chioma was elegant, educated, came from a respected family in Enugu. She had her own boutique business. Why would she need to use him? But Emeka saw what Marcus refused to see. Chioma never asked about his childhood, never cared about his late father's wisdom or his mother's prayers. She attended every high-profile event on his arm, smiled for every camera, but at home, she was distant. When Marcus tried to talk about adoption, she changed the subject. When he suggested they focus on their love instead of a baby, she looked at him like he had insulted her. Now, standing alone in his empty penthouse, Marcus felt the weight of Emeka's words. He poured himself a glass of whiskey and sat down, the divorce papers still in his hand. He had lost his wife. He had lost his pride. But the cruelest joke was yet to come. 3 weeks after the divorce was finalized, his phone rang. A known number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. "Hello, Mr. Adeleke?" The voice was soft, nervous. "My name is Zara. We met at the Children's Hope Foundation Gala last year. I don't know if you remember me." Marcus frowned, searching his memory. The gala. It had been a long night. Chioma had been cold to him all evening, barely speaking. He remembered talking to a young woman by the silent auction table. She had kind eyes and a shy smile. They spoke briefly about education in rural communities. That was all. "I remember," Marcus said carefully. "What can I do for you?" There was a long pause. Then Zara spoke, her voice shaking. "I'm pregnant, Mr. Adeleke. And the baby is yours." Marcus nearly dropped the phone. His heart pounded. His mind raced. It was impossible. He had been faithful to Chioma. He never. Then a flash of memory hit him. After the gala, Chioma had gone home early, angry about something he could not even remember now. He had stayed behind, drowning his frustration in champagne. Zara had been kind, consoling. They talked. They drank. The details were foggy, but pieces came back now like broken glass. A hotel room. A mistake. A night he buried deep because he was too ashamed to face it. "That's not possible," Marcus whispered, but even as he said it, he knew it was. "I have the test results," Zara said quietly. "I didn't know what to do. I wasn't going to call you, but I thought you deserved to know." Marcus sank into his chair, his entire world tilting. The wife who left him because he could not give her a child was gone. And now a stranger, a woman he barely knew, was carrying the baby Chioma had wanted so desperately. This story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. What Marcus doesn't know yet is that his nightmare is only the surface. Beneath it lies a betrayal so deep, it will shake the foundation of everything he thought he knew. If you want to find out what happens next, make sure you subscribe to this channel and stay with us. You won't want to miss what comes after this. Marcus did not sleep that night. He sat in his study until dawn, replaying Zara's words over and over in his mind. By the time the sun rose over Victoria Island, he had made a decision. He needed to see her. He needed proof. And he needed to understand how this had happened when doctors had told him for years that fathering a child was nearly impossible. Zara agreed to meet him at a quiet cafe in Lekki, far from the eyes of journalists and socialites who tracked Marcus's every move. When he arrived, she was already there, sitting in a corner booth with her hands wrapped around a cup of tea. She looked different from the confident woman he vaguely remembered from the gala. Now she seemed small, vulnerable, dressed in a simple blue dress with her hair pulled back. Marcus sat down across from her without a word. Zara reached into her bag and slid an envelope across the table. Inside were medical documents, ultrasound images, and a paternity test request form already filled out with her information. "I'm 12 weeks along," she said quietly, not meeting his eyes. "I went to 3 different doctors because I couldn't believe it myself. They all confirmed it. I know what the report said about you, Mr. Adeleke. I know what you've been through. But this baby exists. And it's yours." Marcus stared at the ultrasound image. A tiny shape, barely formed, but unmistakably real. His throat tightened. For 7 years, he had prayed for this moment. He had begged God, made promises, offered sacrifices his mother suggested. And now, when his marriage was destroyed and his life was in pieces, the miracle had come through a woman he did not love and barely knew. "Why did you wait 3 weeks to tell me?" Marcus asked, his voice rough. "I was scared," Zara admitted. "I saw the news about your divorce. I didn't want you to think I was trying to trap you or take advantage. I have a job. I work as a program coordinator for an NGO. I'm not asking you for anything, Mr. Adeleke. I just thought you had a right to know." Marcus studied her face, searching for lies, for hidden motives. But all he saw was exhaustion and fear. She was 29, he learned. Unmarried. Her family lived in Ibadan. She had come to Lagos 5 years ago to build a career. She was not part of his world. She had no connections to his business rivals or to Chioma's family. If this was a trap, it was the strangest one he had ever seen. "I want a paternity test," Marcus said firmly. "A private one. Complete confidentiality." "Of course," Zara agreed immediately. "I expected that." They arranged for the test to be done at a private clinic Marcus trusted, run by a doctor who had treated him for years. Within 72 hours, the results came back. Marcus sat in the doctor's office, his hands gripping the armrests of the leather chair as Dr. Okonkwo reviewed the report. "Marcus," the doctor said slowly, looking up from the papers, "the child is yours. 99.9% certainty. But there's something else you need to know." Marcus's heart stopped. "What?" Dr. Okonkwo leaned forward, his expression grave. "Your latest fertility test from 2 months ago showed the same issues you've always had. Low count, poor motility. By all medical logic, conceiving naturally should have been nearly impossible. But it happened. Sometimes, Marcus, medicine doesn't have all the answers. This is what we call a spontaneous remission or a statistical anomaly. It's rare, but it happens." Marcus sat back, his mind spinning. An anomaly. A miracle. A cruel twist of fate. Whatever it was, it did not change the reality. He was going to be a father. But not with the woman who had demanded it. Not in the life he had imagined. He called Emeka that evening. His friend arrived within the hour, whiskey in hand, ready to listen. Marcus told him everything. When he finished, Emeka was silent for a long moment. "So what are you going to do?" Emeka finally asked. "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "I don't love her, Emeka. I don't even know her. But that's my child." "And Chioma?" Emeka's voice was careful. "Have you told her?" "Why would I?" Marcus's voice turned bitter. "She left me because I couldn't give her a baby. Now that I'm having one, it's none of her business." Emeka set down his glass and looked Marcus in the eye. "Brother, I know you're hurt. But you need to be smart about this. Chioma's family is powerful. They have political connections. If word gets out that you got another woman pregnant right after the divorce, they will twist it. They will say you were unfaithful during the marriage. They will destroy your reputation. Marcus had not thought that far ahead. But Emeka was right. In Lagos, perception was everything. His business empire was built on trust, on his image as a principled man. A scandal like this could cost him partnerships, contracts, respect. Then what do you suggest? Marcus asked. Keep it quiet for now, Emeka advised. Support Zara. Make sure she has everything she needs. But don't go public until you know exactly what you're dealing with. And Marcus, be careful. You don't really know this woman. You don't know why this happened or if she's telling you everything. Marcus nodded slowly. Emeka's caution made sense. But as he sat there in the dim light of his study, staring at the ultrasound image Zara had left with him, he felt something he had not felt in years. Dangerous, fragile hope. What Marcus did not know, what he could not see, was that across the city in a luxury apartment in Ikoyi, Chioma was sitting with her lawyer, reviewing documents of her own. And she was smiling. Marcus made arrangements for Zara immediately. He set her up in a secure apartment in a gated community in Aja, far enough from his usual circles to avoid attention but close enough for him to monitor her well-being. He hired a private doctor to oversee her pregnancy and ensured she had a driver and security. Zara protested at first, insisting she could manage on her own, but Marcus was firm. "This is my child," he told her during one of their meetings. "I take care of what's mine." Over the following weeks, Marcus found himself visiting Zara more often than he intended. At first, the visits were purely practical, checking on her health, discussing medical appointments, ensuring she had everything she needed. But gradually, something unexpected began to happen. They talked. Zara was different from any woman Marcus had known in his elite circles. She did not care about designer labels or society parties. She spoke passionately about education reform, about children in rural areas who walked miles to school, about corruption in local government that stole resources from those who needed them most. She had grown up in a modest home in Ibadan, the daughter of a school teacher and the seamstress. Everything she had achieved, she had earned. "Why did you come to that gala?" Marcus asked her one evening as they sat on the balcony of her apartment, watching the Lagos sunset. Zara smiled softly. "My organization was one of the beneficiaries. It was my first time at an event like that. I felt so out of place. Everyone there had money, connections, confidence. I was just trying not to spill my drink on anyone important." "And yet you ended up talking to me," Marcus said. "You were kind," Zara replied, looking at him directly. "You actually listened when I talked about our programs. Most people at those events just nod and move on. You asked questions. You seemed like you genuinely cared." Marcus remembered that conversation now more clearly. He had been miserable that night, frustrated with Chioma's coldness, drowning in champagne and self-pity. Zara's genuine warmth had been a lifeline he did not know he needed. What happened afterward, the blurred night he barely remembered, had been a mistake born of pain and alcohol. But this child growing inside her was no mistake. It was a reality he was beginning to accept. Yet even as Marcus found unexpected comfort in Zara's presence, warning bells rang in the back of his mind. Emeka's words haunted him. "You don't really know this woman." One afternoon, Marcus asked his head of security, a former police chief named Benson, to conduct a discreet background check on Zara. He hated himself for it, but he needed to be certain. In his world, trust was a luxury he could not afford. The report came back clean. Zara Ibrahim, 29 years old, born in Ibadan. Bachelor's degree in social work from the University of Lagos. No criminal record, no suspicious associations, no hidden debts. She worked for a legitimate NGO and lived within her modest means. On paper, she was exactly who she said she was. Marcus felt a wave of relief, followed immediately by shame. What kind of man was he becoming? Investigating the mother of his child like she was a corporate rival? But his instincts, sharpened by years of navigating treacherous business deals, would not let him fully relax. Something about the timing felt too convenient, too perfect. He pushed the thought away, telling himself he was being paranoid. Meanwhile, across the city, Chioma was making moves of her own. She sat in the law office of Barrister Adeleke, one of Lagos's most ruthless attorneys, known for destroying reputations as efficiently as he won cases. Chioma looked immaculate as always, dressed in a white suit that cost more than most people's monthly salary, her makeup flawless, her expression cold. "I need you to dig deeper," Chioma said, sliding a folder across the desk. "I know Marcus. He's too proud to stay alone for long. If he's seeing someone, I want to know who, where, and when." Barrister Adeleke smiled, a predator recognizing another predator. "And if we find something? Then we use it," Chioma said simply. "The divorce settlement was generous, but I want more. I want his reputation. I want him to feel what I felt all those years, waiting for something he could never give me." "You're a dangerous woman, Mrs. Adeleke," the barrister said with admiration. "It's Miss Okafor now," Chioma corrected sharply, reclaiming her maiden name. "And yes, I am." What Chioma did not say, what she kept locked behind her perfect smile, was that she had her own secrets. Secrets that would destroy Marcus if they ever came to light. Secrets that explained why she had really left him. Back at his office, Marcus received an unexpected visitor. His mother, Mama Adeleke, arrived unannounced, sweeping past his secretary with the authority of a woman who had raised a king. She was 73, small in stature but towering in presence, dressed in traditional Ankara with a head wrap that added another foot to her height. "Mama, what are you doing here?" Marcus asked, surprised. She sat down across from his desk, her sharp eyes studying him. "I had a dream about you," she said in Yoruba. "A warning dream. There's a snake in your house, my son. Close to you, but hidden. You must be careful." Marcus respected his mother's intuition, even when he did not fully understand it. She had predicted his father's death 6 months before it happened. She had warned him against a business partner who later tried to embezzle millions. "What kind of snake, Mama?" Marcus asked carefully. "I don't know yet," she admitted. "But I see 2 women around you. One carries life. One carries death. You must learn which is which before it's too late." Her words sent a chill down Marcus's spine. That night, he lay awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. Zara, who seemed innocent but appeared at the perfect time. Chioma, who had left him but whose presence still haunted him. His mother's warning. Emeka's caution. He was a billionaire who controlled empires, but in this moment, Marcus Adeleke felt more powerless than he had ever felt in his life. The next morning, Marcus's phone rang at 6 a.m. It was Zara, and she was crying. "Marcus, someone broke into my apartment last night. They didn't take anything, but they left a message. Written on my bathroom mirror." "What did it say?" Marcus demanded, already reaching for his car keys. Zara's voice shook. It said, "That baby doesn't belong to you." The pieces were moving on a board Marcus couldn't fully see yet. The game had changed, and the stakes were higher than he realized. If you want to know who's really behind all of this and what happens when Marcus finally discovers the truth, you need to stay with us. Subscribe to this channel right now because the next revelation will shock you. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Marcus arrived at Zara's apartment within 30 minutes, his security team close behind. The message was still there on the bathroom mirror, written in red lipstick that had started to drip like blood. Benson and his men swept the apartment for intruders while Marcus sat with Zara in the living room, watching her hands shake as she held a cup of tea. "Did you see anyone? Hear anything?" Marcus asked gently. Zara shook her head. "I was asleep. I woke up around 4 to use the bathroom and saw it. The door was still locked from the inside, Marcus. I don't understand how anyone got in." Benson approached them, his face grim. "Mr. Adeleke, there's no sign of forced entry. The locks weren't picked, windows are secure. Whoever did this either had a key or someone let them in." Marcus's jaw tightened. He looked at Zara, searching her face for any hint of deception. But all he saw was genuine fear. Either she was an exceptional actress, or someone was sending them both a message. "Pack your things," Marcus said firmly. You're not staying here anymore. I'm moving you somewhere more secure. Marcus, I can't keep running, Zara protested. This is my life, my job. I can't just disappear. You can and you will, Marcus said, his voice leaving no room for argument. That message wasn't just a threat. Someone knows about the baby. Someone wants us scared. Until I find out who and why, you're staying where I can protect you. Within hours, Zara was relocated to one of Marcus's private properties, a secure villa in Banana Island with 24-hour security and surveillance. Marcus doubled her protection detail and installed additional cameras. He was taking no chances. But the message haunted him. That baby doesn't belong to you. What did it mean? Was someone claiming the child wasn't his? Or was it a threat about taking the baby away? Marcus called an emergency meeting with Emeka at his office that afternoon. His friend arrived looking troubled, carrying his own news. I did some asking around, Emeka said, closing the office door behind him. Quiet inquiries, nothing that would raise alarms. Marcus, Chioma has been meeting with private investigators. Multiple firms. She's looking for something on you. Let her look, Marcus said bitterly. I have nothing to hide. Are you sure? Emeka pressed. Because if she finds out about Zara and the baby, she won't just use it against you in social circles. She'll weaponize it. Claim you were unfaithful during the marriage, that you lied about fertility issues to manipulate her. She could demand more money, damage your business relationships, turn your own family against you. Marcus slammed his hand on the desk. I was faithful to that woman for 7 years. Everything I did trying to make her happy. And the one mistake, one night I barely remember, happens after she had already emotionally abandoned me. The truth doesn't matter, Emeka said quietly. Only what people believe matters. And Chioma is very good at shaping what people believe. Marcus knew Emeka was right. He had seen Chioma operate in social settings, the way she could turn a room with a smile, plant doubts with a whisper, destroy reputations with carefully chosen words. If she discovered Zara, she would burn everything Marcus had built. That evening, Marcus visited his mother's home in Ikeja, a sprawling compound where she had lived since his father's death. She was in her garden, tending to her herbs and flowers, humming an old Yoruba hymn. When she saw Marcus, she set down her watering can and studied his face. The snake is moving, she said simply. Mama, someone threatened Zara, Marcus said, sitting on the garden bench. Someone broke into her apartment and left a message about the baby. His mother's eyes sharpened. This Zara girl, have you checked her family? Her background? Sometimes the snake is not the one you see, but the one hiding behind them. I had her investigated. She's clean, Mama. She's just a simple woman who works for an NGO. No woman is simple, his mother said wisely. Especially not one carrying a rich man's child. But I am not speaking only of her. I am speaking of the other one. Your former wife. That woman left too quickly, too quietly. Women like her do not give up power without a plan. Marcus had been so focused on protecting Zara that he had not considered Chioma might be orchestrating something larger. But his mother's words resonated. Chioma had accepted the divorce too easily. No fights, no public drama, just a settlement and silence. For a woman who craved status and attention, that behavior was completely out of character. What do you think she's planning, Mama? I don't know yet, his mother admitted. But I know women, my son. I know how they think when they feel wronged. Chioma wanted a child to secure her place in this family, in society. You could not give her that child, so she left. But now, if she discovers you can have children, just not with her, her shame will turn to rage. And a woman's rage is more dangerous than any business enemy you have ever faced. Marcus left his mother's house with a heavy heart. As he drove through Lagos traffic, his phone rang. It was Dr. Okonkwo. Marcus, we need to talk. In person. Tonight, if possible. What's wrong? Marcus asked, anxiety creeping into his voice. I've been reviewing some old files, comparing your test results over the years. There's something that doesn't add up. Something I should have noticed before. I don't want to discuss it over the phone. Marcus changed direction immediately, heading to Dr. Okonkwo's private clinic. When he arrived, the doctor was waiting in his office, several files spread across his desk. His expression was grave. "Marcus, sit down," Dr. Okonkwo said. "What I'm about to tell you will be difficult to hear." Marcus sat, his heart pounding. The doctor pulled out 2 sets of test results, placing them side by side. "These are your fertility tests from 3 years ago, run at this clinic. And these are the tests from 6 months ago, also run here. Marcus, the results don't match. Not just in numbers, but in genetic markers. Small details that most people wouldn't notice, but I did when I compared them closely." "What are you saying?" Marcus asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "I'm saying these tests weren't all yours," Dr. Okonkwo said carefully. "Someone switched samples. Someone wanted you to believe you were infertile when you might not have been." The room seemed to spin. Marcus gripped the arms of his chair, his mind racing through implications. "Who had access to my samples?" "That's the problem," Dr. Okonkwo said. "Several people. Lab technicians, nurses, administrative staff. But Marcus, there's something else. I checked my records. 3 years ago, around the time these inconsistent results started appearing, someone made a substantial donation to this clinic. An anonymous donation that paid for new equipment, staff bonuses. I never questioned it at the time." "How much?" Marcus asked, though he already knew the answer would matter. 5 million naira, the doctor said. And Marcus, the donation was processed through a law firm. Adeleke and Associates. The same firm Chioma was currently using. Marcus stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. Everything was clicking into place now, the pieces of a puzzle he should have seen years ago. Chioma had not just left him because he couldn't give her a child. She had made sure he believed he couldn't. She had sabotaged his test results, destroyed his confidence, and then abandoned him when she had taken everything she wanted. What was the endgame? As Marcus drove back to his penthouse, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. He opened it, and his blood ran cold. It was a photograph. Zara, sitting in a cafe but not alone. Across from her sat someone Marcus recognized immediately. Chioma. And they were smiling at each other like old friends. Marcus stared at the photograph until his vision blurred. The image was clear, taken from a distance but unmistakable. Zara and Chioma, sitting across from each other in what looked like an upscale cafe in Victoria Island, their heads close together in conversation. The timestamp on the photo showed it was taken 2 days ago, while Marcus had been in Abuja for a business meeting. His hands trembled as he dialed Benson's number. "I need you to find out everything about a meeting between Zara Ibrahim and Chioma Okafor. 2 days ago. Victoria Island. I want to know when, where, how long, and what was said." "Mr. Adeleke, are you certain?" Benson's voice was cautious. "I'm looking at a photograph right now," Marcus said, his voice tight with barely controlled rage. "Find out everything." He did not go home. He could not face the emptiness of his penthouse, could not sit still with the storm raging in his mind. Instead, he drove aimlessly through Lagos, past the glittering lights of the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge, through the chaos of CMS, along the dark waters of the lagoon. Every woman he had trusted had betrayed him. His wife. And now, it seemed, the mother of his child. But a small voice in his head, the same instinct that had made him a successful businessman, whispered caution. There could be another explanation. Perhaps Chioma had approached Zara. Perhaps Zara was being threatened. Perhaps the photograph was staged or doctored. Marcus wanted to believe that voice. He desperately wanted to believe it. By midnight, he found himself at Emeka's house. His friend opened the door in pajamas, took one look at Marcus's face, and ushered him inside without a word. Marcus showed him the photograph. Emeka studied it for a long moment, then poured them both whiskey. "Have you confronted Zara?" "Not yet," Marcus admitted. "I don't know what to say. I don't know what to believe anymore." "Then don't say anything," Emeka advised. "Not until you have more information. If Zara is working with Chioma, confronting her too early will warn them both. If she's innocent and being manipulated, accusing her could push her straight into Chioma's arms. Either way, you need to know the full picture first." "I feel like a fool," Marcus said bitterly. A blind, stupid fool. You're not a fool. You're a man who wanted to believe in something good after everything you've been through, Emeka said gently. That's not weakness, brother. That's humanity. But now you need to be strategic. Play the game the way you play business. Gather information, anticipate moves, and strike when you have all the pieces in place. Marcus nodded slowly. Emeka was right. He had not built an empire by acting on emotion. He had succeeded by being patient, methodical, and ruthless when necessary. The next morning, Benson arrived at Marcus's office with a thick folder. I have the information you requested, sir, but you're not going to like it. Marcus gestured for him to continue. The meeting lasted approximately 90 minutes, Benson reported. It took place at Café Neo in Victoria Island. According to the server I interviewed, Mrs. Okafor, your ex-wife, initiated contact. She approached Miss Ibrahim's table and asked to sit down. Miss Ibrahim appeared surprised but did not refuse. What did they discuss? Marcus demanded. The server couldn't hear most of the conversation, but she did catch a few phrases. Mrs. Okafor mentioned your name multiple times. She also said something about the truth coming out and protecting herself. Miss Ibrahim appeared distressed during parts of the conversation. At one point, she tried to leave, but Mrs. Okafor convinced her to stay. Marcus leaned back in his chair, processing this information. It did not sound like a friendly conspiracy. It sounded like Chioma was threatening Zara. There's more, sir, Benson continued. I pulled security footage from shops near the cafe. After the meeting, Mrs. Okafor made a phone call. She was smiling. And 30 minutes later, she met with Barrister Adeyemi at his office. They were together for 2 hours. She's building a case, Marcus said quietly. She found out about Zara somehow, and now she's using it against me. It appears that way, sir. But there's something else you should know. I did a deeper investigation into Miss Ibrahim's background beyond the initial report. Her mother passed away 5 years ago from cancer. The medical bills bankrupted the family. Miss Ibrahim has been sending money home to support her younger siblings ever since. She's in debt, sir. Significant debt. Credit cards, personal loans. Nothing criminal, but she's financially vulnerable. Marcus felt his stomach drop. A financially desperate woman, carrying his child, approached by his wealthy, vengeful ex-wife. The pieces were all there for the perfect trap. How much debt? Marcus asked. Approximately 8 million naira, sir. Enough to be crushing for someone with Zara's modest income. Enough to make almost any offer from Chioma look tempting. Marcus dismissed Benson and sat alone in his office, staring out at the Lagos skyline. He could confront Zara now, but that might be exactly what Chioma wanted. If Zara was innocent, his accusation would alienate her. If she was guilty, it would alert Chioma that he knew about their meeting. He needed a different approach. That afternoon, Marcus called Zara and invited her to dinner at his penthouse. She arrived looking tired but beautiful, her pregnancy just beginning to show beneath her loose dress. Marcus had arranged for a private chef to prepare her favorite meal, and he made sure the evening felt comfortable, safe. You've been so kind to me, Zara said as they ate. I don't know how I can ever repay you. You don't need to repay me, Marcus said gently. But I do need you to trust me, Zara. To tell me if anything happens, if anyone approaches you, if you feel threatened in any way. Something flickered in Zara's eyes. Fear? Guilt? Marcus could not tell. Why would anyone approach me? Zara asked carefully. Marcus chose his words with precision. Because you're carrying my child. Because my ex-wife is powerful and vindictive. Because in my world, people don't always have good intentions. If Chioma or anyone connected to her tries to contact you, I need to know immediately. Zara was quiet for a long moment. She set down her fork and looked at Marcus directly. What if someone already did? Marcus's heart began to pound, but he kept his expression neutral. Tell me. 2 days ago, I went to get coffee during my lunch break, Zara began, her voice shaking slightly. A woman approached me. She was beautiful, elegant, expensive-looking. She introduced herself as Chioma Okafor. Your ex-wife. What did she want? Marcus asked, though he already knew this from Benson's report. She said she wanted to warn me, Zara continued. She said you were a dangerous man, that you would use me and then destroy me. She said you had done the same to her, that you had blamed her for your infertility when it was your fault all along. She said once the baby was born, you would take it away from me and leave me with nothing. Marcus listened, his expression carefully controlled. She offered me money, Zara whispered. A lot of money. 10 million naira. She said all I had to do was sign an affidavit stating that you were violent during our encounter, that you manipulated me, that I was afraid of you. She said with my testimony she could ruin you. And what did you say? Marcus asked quietly. Tears began streaming down Zara's face. I told her no. I told her you had never been anything but kind to me, that I wouldn't lie about you for any amount of money. But Marcus, I'm scared. I'm so scared. She said if I didn't cooperate, she would make sure I lost everything. My job, my reputation, maybe even the baby. She said she had connections in social services, that she could make me look unfit. Zara was sobbing now, her whole body shaking. Marcus moved around the table and held her, feeling her fear, her vulnerability. Either this was the performance of a lifetime, or Zara was telling him the truth. Why didn't you tell me this before? Marcus asked gently. Because I didn't want to cause more problems, Zara said through her tears. You've already been through so much. And I was afraid you wouldn't believe me. That you'd think I was working with her. Marcus pulled back and looked into her eyes. Are you working with her? No, Zara said firmly. I swear on this baby's life, Marcus. I would never betray you. Marcus wanted to believe her. Every instinct in his body wanted to believe her. But he had believed Chioma once too. He had trusted his wife completely, and look where that had led him. I need you to do something for me, Marcus said carefully. If Chioma contacts you again, I need you to record it. Everything she says, everything she offers. Can you do that? Zara nodded, wiping her tears. Yes, I can do that. As Marcus drove Zara back to the secure villa later that night, his phone rang. It was his mother. The snake has shown its face, she said without preamble. Come to my house tomorrow morning. There is someone you need to meet. Someone who knows the truth about your former wife. Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Who, Mama? Her first husband, his mother said. The one she never told you about. The revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. First husband? Chioma had told him he was her first serious relationship, that she had never been married before. Another lie in a web of lies that seemed to grow larger every day. Everything Marcus thought he knew was unraveling. The wife he had loved was a stranger. The woman carrying his child might be an enemy. And somewhere in the shadows, Chioma was orchestrating a destruction he was only beginning to understand. But the game was not over yet. And Marcus Adeleke had not become a billionaire by losing. What happens when Marcus meets Chioma's first husband? What secrets will be revealed? And is Zara truly innocent, or is she playing a deeper game than anyone realizes? The answers are coming, and they will change everything. If you're invested in this story, if you need to know how it ends, subscribe to this channel right now. Drop a comment telling me what you think is really going on here. Because trust me, the biggest twist is still ahead. Marcus arrived at his mother's compound early the next morning, his mind still racing from the previous night's revelations. The sun was barely up, casting long shadows across the garden where Mama Adeleke was already awake, dressed in her traditional wrapper and head wrap, preparing breakfast. He is in the sitting room, she said without greeting. His name is Chidi Nwosu. He was married to your Chioma for 3 years before you ever met her. Listen to what he has to say, my son. Listen carefully. Marcus entered the sitting room to find a man approximately his age, perhaps 45, sitting stiffly on the sofa. Chidi was well-dressed but not wealthy-looking, his face carrying the weariness of someone who had survived something terrible. He stood when Marcus entered, extending his hand. Mr. Adeleke, thank you for seeing me, Chidi said. I know this is unexpected. Marcus shook his hand and sat across from him. My mother says you were married to Chioma. She never mentioned you. Not once in 7 years. I'm not surprised, Chidi said bitterly. Chioma is very good at erasing her past. She probably told you she came from a respectable family in Enugu, that she had her own business, that she was independent and successful. Yes, Marcus confirmed. All of that. It's all partially true, Chidi explained. But there's much she left out. We married in 2012 when she was 23 and I was a rising executive at a telecommunications company. Not as wealthy as you, Mr. Adeleke, but comfortable. Chioma was beautiful, charming, ambitious. I thought I had found the perfect wife. Chidi paused, his jaw tightening with old pain. Within 6 months of marriage, she began pressuring me for a child. I wanted to wait to build our life together first, but she became obsessed. We tried for 2 years. When nothing happened, she insisted we see doctors. The tests showed nothing wrong with either of us. We were simply unlucky. Marcus leaned forward, recognizing the familiar pattern. But Chioma couldn't accept that, Chidi continued. She became cold, distant, accusatory. She began spending money recklessly, traveling constantly, meeting with influential people. Then one day, I came home early from work and found documents she had hidden. Papers from a private investigator she had hired to look into my family's medical history, searching for any genetic defects or fertility issues she could use against me. She was building a case, Marcus said quietly. Exactly, Chidi confirmed. But that wasn't the worst part. I also found bank statements showing she had been secretly draining our joint accounts, transferring money to private accounts I knew nothing about. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She simply said she was protecting herself, that she deserved compensation for wasting her best years on a man who couldn't give her what she wanted. What happened to your marriage? Marcus asked. I filed for divorce, Chidi said. But Chioma was smart. She had already consulted with lawyers, had already crafted a narrative. She told everyone I was abusive, controlling, that I had isolated her from her family. She took me to court and demanded spousal support, half of everything I owned. It cost me nearly everything to fight her, and in the end, I gave her a settlement just to be free of her. Marcus felt sick. This was almost exactly what was happening to him, only Chioma had learned from her first attempt. She had refined her tactics, targeted a wealthier man, and positioned herself even more carefully. Why didn't you warn people about her? Marcus asked. I tried, Chidi admitted. But who would believe me? She had connections, social standing, and she was very good at playing the victim. I was just a bitter ex-husband. Eventually, I remarried, moved on with my life. I only heard about your marriage to her through mutual acquaintances. I thought about reaching out, but I convinced myself maybe she had changed. Maybe she would be different with someone else. She wasn't, Marcus said flatly. I know, Chidi said. I've been following your story in the news, the divorce, the settlement. When I heard rumors that she was working with barrister Adeleke again, the same lawyer who represented her against me, I knew she was planning something. That's when I contacted your mother through a family friend. Mr. Adeleke, Chioma is not just vindictive. She's calculating. Everything she does is part of a larger plan. What plan? Marcus demanded. Chidi pulled out a folder from his briefcase and handed it to Marcus. After our divorce, I kept copies of everything. Her lawyer's communications, financial records, even some recordings from our custody mediation, though we had no children. I kept it all in case she ever tried to come after me again. Look at page 12. Marcus flipped to the indicated page. It was a document from Chioma's lawyer outlining a strategy for maximizing divorce settlements. The document was clinical, methodical, treating marriage and divorce as a business transaction. One section was highlighted: target high-net-worth individuals with vulnerability factors, health issues, family pressure, emotional needs. Build dependency, then create exit strategy based on their failure to meet expectations. Marcus felt rage building in his chest like a fire. She's done this before. This is her pattern. I believe so, Chidi said. And Mr. Adeleke, there's something else. After our divorce, Chioma dated several wealthy men. None of the relationships lasted more than a year. But I heard through sources that at least 2 of them paid her significant sums to simply go away quietly. She's not just looking for a husband. She's running a sophisticated con. Marcus stood and walked to the window, trying to control his anger. Everything made sense now. The way Chioma had pursued him at that business conference where they met. The way she had seemed perfect, almost too perfect. The rapid courtship, the lavish wedding she had insisted on. The immediate pressure for children. The coldness when doctors said conception was unlikely. The quick, quiet divorce with a massive settlement. He had been a mark. Nothing more. "Why are you helping me?" Marcus asked, turning back to Chitty. "Because I know what it's like to be destroyed by that woman," Chitty said simply. "And because I heard she's targeting someone innocent now, a young woman named Zara. I don't know the details, but I know Chioma's methods. She'll use whoever she can to achieve her goals. I couldn't stop her before, but maybe together we can stop her now." Marcus returned to his seat, his mind already working through strategies. "I need everything you have. Every document, every recording, every piece of evidence. And I need you to be willing to testify if necessary." "I'll do it," Chitty agreed. "But be careful, Mr. Adeleke. Chioma is dangerous when she's cornered. She won't just walk away." After Chitty left, Marcus sat with his mother in the garden. She poured him tea and waited patiently for him to speak. "You knew, didn't you?" Marcus finally said. "You knew Chioma was wrong from the beginning." "I suspected," his mother admitted. "A mother knows. I saw how she looked at our home, at your success, at everything you had. She never looked at you, my son. Not the way a woman in love looks at her man. But you were happy, or I thought you were, so I said nothing. I should have spoken up." "It wouldn't have mattered," Marcus said. "I wouldn't have listened. I was too proud, too convinced I knew better." "And now?" his mother asked. "Now I'm going to end this," Marcus said firmly. "But first, I need to know if Zara is telling me the truth. I need to know if she's really innocent or if she's part of Chioma's plan." His mother was quiet for a moment, then spoke with the wisdom of her years. "That girl is carrying your child, Marcus. Whatever else she may be, that child is innocent. Protect the child, even if you're not sure about the mother. Time will reveal the truth about her heart." Marcus left his mother's house with Chitty's evidence and a clearer picture of the enemy he was facing. But as he drove through Lagos, his phone buzzed with a message from Benson. "Mr. Adeleke, we have a problem. Miss Ibrahim left the secure villa this morning without her security detail. We don't know where she is." Marcus's blood ran cold. He immediately tried calling Zara, but her phone went straight to voicemail. He called Benson back. "Find her. Check her phone GPS, traffic cameras, everything." 20 minutes later, Benson called back. "Sir, we've located her. She's at Barrister Adeyemi's office. She's been there for 15 minutes. Marcus felt betrayal cut through him like a knife. After everything Zara had said, after her tears and her promises, she had gone straight to Chioma's lawyer. He had been played again. But even as rage and hurt threatened to overwhelm him, Marcus forced himself to think strategically. If Zara had truly betrayed him, she would have disappeared completely or gone somewhere safe. The fact that she was at a lawyer's office in broad daylight suggested something else. Either she was stupid, which Marcus didn't believe, or something else was happening. He grabbed his keys and headed for Barrister Adeyemi's office, calling Emeka on the way. "Meet me at Adeyemi's firm. And bring a camera. I think we're about to see the final piece of Chioma's plan." When Marcus arrived, he did not go inside. Instead, he waited across the street in his car, watching the entrance. Emeka arrived minutes later, slipping into the passenger seat with a professional camera equipped with a long lens. "What are we doing?" Emeka asked. "Waiting," Marcus said. "And documenting." They did not have to wait long. Within 30 minutes, Zara emerged from the building, her face pale and distressed. She stood on the steps, clearly upset, pulling out her phone with shaking hands. Behind her, the door opened again, and Chioma stepped out, followed by Barrister Adeyemi. Emeka began taking photographs as Chioma approached Zara, her expression cold and triumphant. They couldn't hear the conversation from across the street, but the body language told the story. Chioma was threatening, aggressive, pointing her finger at Zara's stomach. Zara was crying, backing away, shaking her head repeatedly. Then something unexpected happened. Zara reached into her purse and pulled out her phone, holding it up toward Chioma. She appeared to be showing her something on the screen. Chioma's expression changed from triumph to fury in an instant. Marcus had told Zara to record any future interactions with Chioma. Had she been recording inside the office as well? Chioma lunged forward, trying to grab Zara's phone, but Zara pulled back. Barrister Adeleke stepped between them, clearly trying to calm the situation. But the damage was visible. Whatever Zara had shown Chioma had changed the game. Marcus's phone rang. It was Zara, calling him while she was still standing on those steps. "Marcus," she said, her voice shaking but determined. "I need you to come get me. And I need you to bring a lawyer. A good one. Because I just recorded Chioma and her lawyer trying to blackmail me into lying about you. And they admitted everything." Marcus closed his eyes, relief flooding through him. Zara hadn't betrayed him. She had been gathering evidence. "I'm across the street," Marcus said. "I've been watching the whole thing. Stay right there." Marcus crossed the street with Emeka close behind, his presence commanding immediate attention. Chioma's face went pale when she saw him, then quickly recovered, arranging her features into a mask of cold dignity. Barrister Adeleke stepped forward, attempting to assert control. "Mr. Adeleke, this is a private matter," the lawyer began. "Not anymore," Marcus said, his voice carrying the weight of steel. He looked at Zara, who was still trembling but holding her ground. "Are you all right?" Zara nodded, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "I recorded everything. Every word they said inside that office. Every threat. Every lie they wanted me to tell about you." Chioma laughed, but it was brittle, desperate. "You think anyone will believe a recording? Those can be edited, manipulated. You're a nobody trying to extort money from my ex-husband. Is that the story you're going with?" Marcus asked quietly. He turned to Emeka. "Show them." Emeka pulled up the photographs on his camera, displaying the images of Chioma lunging at Zara, the aggressive confrontation, the clear evidence of intimidation. These were taken from across the street. Time-stamped, unedited, showing you assaulting a pregnant woman in front of your own lawyer's office. Barrister Adeyemi's confidence visibly cracked. "Mr. Adeleke, perhaps we should discuss this privately. I'm sure we can reach an understanding." "The time for private discussions is over," Marcus said. He pulled out his own phone and began playing an audio file. His voice filled the air, clear and unmistakable, from the recording he had made with Dr. Okonkwo's permission. The doctor's voice explained the switch test results, the anonymous donation from Chioma's law firm, the systematic sabotage of Marcus's fertility tests. Then came another recording, this one from Chidi Nwosu, explaining Chioma's pattern of targeting wealthy men, extracting settlements, and moving on to the next victim. Chioma's mask finally shattered. "You have no right to investigate me." "I have every right to protect myself from fraud," Marcus said coldly. "And that's exactly what you are, Chioma. A fraud. A con artist who married me under false pretenses, manipulated medical records to convince me I was infertile, and then left with 30 million naira when you had taken everything you wanted." "You can't prove any of that," Chioma hissed, but her voice lacked conviction. "Actually I can," Marcus said. "I have Dr. Okonkwo's testimony about the switched samples. I have financial records showing your lawyer's firm made suspicious donations to the clinic. I have your first husband's testimony about your pattern of behavior. I have recordings of you trying to blackmail Zara. And now I have photographs of you assaulting her in public." Marcus stepped closer, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper that only Chioma could hear. "You made one critical mistake. You thought I was just another mark, another wealthy fool you could manipulate and discard. But I didn't build my empire by being stupid. I built it by being patient, thorough, and absolutely ruthless when necessary." He pulled back and addressed both Chioma and her lawyer. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to return every naira of the divorce settlement. All 30 million. You're going to sign a legal document admitting to fraud, medical manipulation, and attempted blackmail. And you're going to leave Lagos and never contact me, Zara, or anyone in my circle again. And if I refuse? Chioma demanded, trying to salvage some dignity. Then I go public with everything, Marcus said simply. Every document, every recording, every photograph. I will destroy your reputation so completely that no man in Nigeria or anywhere else will ever trust you again. Your social standing, your connections, your future prospects, all gone. And then I will sue you for fraud, have you investigated for conspiracy, and ensure you spend time in prison. Barrister Adeyemi cleared his throat nervously. Mr. Adeleke, perhaps we can negotiate terms that are acceptable to all parties. No negotiation, Marcus said firmly. Those are my terms. You have 48 hours to comply. After that, everything goes public and to the authorities. Chioma stared at him with pure hatred, but beneath it, Marcus saw something else. Fear. She had finally met someone who could not be manipulated, who had seen through her completely, and who had the resources to ensure she faced consequences for her actions. You'll regret this, Chioma said weakly. The only thing I regret is wasting 7 years on you, Marcus replied. Now get out of my sight. Chioma and her lawyer retreated into the building, their defeat evident in every step. Marcus turned to Zara, his expression softening. Why did you go to them? He asked gently. They called me this morning, Zara explained, her voice steadier now. They said if I didn't come to the office immediately, they would release false information to the media claiming I was a prostitute you had hired, that the baby wasn't yours, that I was trying to trap you. I knew they were lying, but I was afraid of what they might do. So I went, but I recorded everything on my phone from the moment I walked in. She pulled up the recording and played a segment. Chioma's voice was clear. All you have to do is sign this affidavit saying Marcus was violent, that he threatened you, that you're afraid for your safety and the baby's safety. We'll make sure you get 5 million naira, enough to disappear and start over. Or you can refuse and watch us destroy you in the media. I told them I would never lie about you, Zara continued. That's when Chioma showed her true face. She said terrible things, Marcus. She said she would make sure I lost the baby, that she would have social services take the child away after it was born, that she would ruin my life completely if I didn't cooperate. Marcus pulled Zara into a gentle embrace, feeling her shake against him. You were incredibly brave. You could have run, could have given in, but you stood your ground. I told you I would never betray you, Zara whispered. I meant it. Over the following 48 hours, Marcus's lawyers worked around the clock. Chioma, faced with overwhelming evidence and the threat of criminal prosecution, had no choice but to comply. The 30 million naira was returned. She signed documents admitting to fraud and manipulation. And she agreed to leave Lagos, relocating to Abuja under the watchful eye of legal agreements that would follow her for years. Marcus ensured that the settlement terms were legally binding and that any attempt by Chioma to contact him, Zara, or spread false information would result in immediate legal action and public exposure. She had been neutralized, her power stripped away, her schemes exposed. 2 weeks later, Marcus sat in his mother's garden once again, watching Zara laugh at something Mama Adeleke had said. The two women had formed an unexpected bond, and his mother had taken to calling Zara, my daughter, with genuine affection. You were right, Mama, Marcus admitted. About the snake. About everything. I am always right, his mother said with a smile. It comes with age and wisdom. But Marcus, what will you do now? You have exposed your enemy, protected this girl, but what about your heart? What about the future? Marcus watched Zara place a hand on her growing belly, her face glowing with the kind of happiness he had never seen in Chioma. I don't know yet, Mama. Zara and I, we're not in love. This baby was not planned. But she's honest, kind, brave. Maybe that's a better foundation than the passion and lies I had with Chioma. Love can grow, his mother said wisely. It can grow from respect, from shared purpose, from watching someone fight for what's right even when they're afraid. Give it time, my son. Give it time. 3 months later, Marcus stood in a private hospital room, holding his daughter for the first time. She was perfect, tiny and wrinkled and absolutely perfect. Zara lay exhausted in the bed, watching him with tired eyes. "What should we name her?" Marcus asked softly. "Amara," Zara suggested. "It means grace. Because despite everything, despite all the pain and the lies and the fear, this child is pure grace." Marcus looked down at baby Amara, feeling something shift in his chest. This child represented everything he had almost lost, everything Chioma had tried to steal from him. But more than that, she represented hope, truth, and the possibility of building something real from the ashes of betrayal. "Amara Adeleke," Marcus said, testing the name. That's perfect." As he held his daughter, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought him here. He had been betrayed by the woman he loved, manipulated and deceived for years. But that betrayal had also revealed his strength, his resilience, and his capacity to fight for what mattered. He looked at Zara, who was watching him with an expression he was beginning to recognize. Not the calculated attention Chioma had given him, but something softer, more genuine. Trust, respect. Perhaps, eventually, something more. The future was uncertain. Marcus and Zara would need time to figure out what they meant to each other beyond being parents to Amara. But for the first time in years, Marcus felt hopeful. He had learned to recognize lies, to value truth, and to understand that real love could not be built on deception. Chioma had tried to destroy him, but instead, she had inadvertently given him the greatest gift, clarity about what truly mattered. As Marcus left the hospital that evening, walking out into the Lagos night with his security team trailing behind, he thought about the lessons learned. Wealth and power meant nothing without wisdom. Beauty and charm meant nothing without character. And sometimes, the greatest blessings came from the most unexpected places. The moral was clear: deception may win battles, but truth always wins the war. Those who build their lives on lies will eventually face the consequences of their choices. And sometimes, when you lose everything you thought you wanted, you discover what you actually needed. But the story was not completely over. As Marcus drove home, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown international number. He opened it to find a single line of text. "Congratulations on your daughter. I hope she brings you the joy you deserve. But remember, Marcus, every action has consequences. And some consequences take time to arrive. We'll meet again when you least expect it." The message was unsigned, but Marcus knew exactly who it was from. Chioma might have left Lagos, might have signed agreements and returned money, but she was still out there. Still plotting. Still dangerous. Marcus deleted the message and looked out at the city lights. Let her plot. Let her scheme. He had faced her once and won. If she came back, he would be ready. But for now, he had a daughter to protect, a future to build, and a woman who had proven her loyalty when it mattered most. The game was far from over. But Marcus Adeleke was no longer playing defense. He was ready for whatever came next. What do you think will happen when Chioma returns? Will Marcus and Zara find real love, or will their relationship remain a partnership built only on their daughter? And what other secrets might still be hiding in the shadows? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this story. Because something tells me we haven't seen the last of Chioma's schemes. The real battle might just be beginning.